My name is Ayanna Marshall, and I am one of your college process ambassadors for the South Carolina on Commission of Higher Education. And a part of my journey is I'm supposed to help not only seniors, but also underclassmen in high school throughout their college process and their application journey. And today I'm going to help y'all by bringing on a special guest, Eli Marshall. And Eli is a sophomore at Clemson University, and he is majoring in history. And today he will be giving us some insight of what it was like for his college process, application process, and giving some tips for our audience. So, Eli, your first question I'm going to ask you is, can you tell us about your college application journey and what it was like applying as a first year undergraduate student at Clemson or any other college?
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you for having me, Ayana, first. My my college application process, I always think of it as kind of different from what a lot of people might have gone through because you hear about how so many people apply to so many different colleges these days, whereas I only applied to three colleges actually, and it
Mhm.
was all a fairly easy process, kind of using the Common App. I had Clemson that I always knew was going to be my first choice and that I wanted to go to most for a lot of reasons, mostly kind of family related reasons because of all my family kind of in the area. And then I went to high school in Evanston, Illinois. So I didn't apply to any in-state schools in Illinois just because the other two schools I applied to, I got scholarships from that I one was Drake University in Iowa, which I had a scholarship from because I attended a camp there one summer when I was in high school. And so that's one thing I would suggest as a first tip. Like if you have an existing relationship with the college, such as attending a summer camp there, they will offer they will often offer scholarships to entice you to come back there because you already have a relationship with them. And then the other school I applied to was Southeast Missouri State University. They're one of those schools that offers great merit scholarships to students based on their grades. I know a lot of people could have gotten a full scholarship there if they did well enough on the SAT or ACT and with their high school grades. I didn't get a full scholarship, but it was still a very sizable scholarship. Ultimately, in my situation at least, none of the scholarship money I got from either of those schools outweighed my desire to go to Clemson, which just always felt like a home for me. And so that's kind of the final thing I would say. If it is possible for you financially, which thankfully in my situation it was, to go if there's a school that you feel like you're at home at, then I that's where I think you should be.
Yes, I agree with that. And to follow back up on your tip about making sure to attend summer camps at colleges, I definitely agree with that. And I can testify that that is true because last summer, I know many of our viewers are probably familiar with the Palmetto Girls State and Palmetto Boys State program. But by me attending that program last summer, many colleges in South Carolina now have offered me this year as a senior applying to colleges many different scholarships if I were to apply there. So if you, especially underclassmen or even seniors, if you attend a summer program out of college, for instance, so if possible, even if you just go on a tour or a visit there, they will offer you scholarship money that way. So if you see interest in a college or you're thinking about applying there, make sure to get involved that way. But my next question for you, Eli, is what is something you wish you would have known before you started to apply for colleges?
I think what I mainly wish I would have known is that it's not something that you need to be stressed out about. I think so much of applying for college these days is kind of a lot of it has to do with mental health, I think, and kind of people feel overwhelmed oftentimes because they have so much work to do for all these applications, for all the schools they want to apply to. But I think at the end of the day, you don't have to push yourself through so much of that if you don't want to. And it was I mean, my experience was unique, of course, because I only applied to three schools, and that helped in kind of not really feeling stressed about a lot of the process. And of course, some people might start feeling stressed for other reasons, like stress about if they'll get into schools or not. But when you talk about the amount of work that you have to do for applying. I mean, sure, it does take a lot. I mean, you have to ask teachers for recommendation letters. That can be a long process. Fill out supplemental essays in a lot of cases. Kind of compile all the extracurricular activities you've done in a way that will appeal to on your application, and then of course getting your grades and SAT scores. So it is a lot. I know, but I think at the end of the day, there are ways that you can still handle that and not feel stressed out at the end of the day. I would say, at least for me, I kind of felt very stressed going into the process, but I just found that it was easier than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So that is just knowing that it will all work out at the end of the day, and that it's not something that you need to stress out about so much, and that it should still be possible to enjoy your senior year for what it is, rather than stressing about college applications that whole year.
Yes, I can testify for the stressing part, especially during senior year. It gets way busier than you would expect it to be because not only do you have schoolwork you're doing in school, but you're also applying to scholarships and then those colleges as well, applying to many different things all during your senior year. It does get stressful, but my tip for that is just to stay organized throughout your senior year, have all the dates laid out, so you can stay organized because there's so much happening at once. You want to make sure you get everything done before the deadline, and overall, that will help maintain your stress.
Yes, absolutely.
And I hear that you're currently in Italy studying abroad. Do you want to share with our viewers about that?
Yes, I am. Well, first of all, I think studying abroad is just one of those experiences that once you get to college, I highly recommend, just because it's taking advantage of what's available to you in college. I think a lot of people don't realize just how much is out there in terms of what they can do in college, how much the sorts of resources that colleges will provide for you. I mean, in addition to being able to study abroad, I think, career centers at colleges often come to mind for that, and just how much they can help you there. But I had known I wanted to study abroad, I think, before I started college, and so last spring, which was my freshman year, I started. I had a meeting with the study abroad office at Clemson and kind of talked about my options, and determined that in terms of still being able to study history, my major, going to Florence, Italy at the Lorenzo de' Medici Institute was the most interesting to me of the destinations I could have gone to. So a year has gone by since then, and that's now I think before I started college, and so last spring, which is my freshman year, I started. I had a meeting with the study abroad office at Clemson and kind of talked about my options, and determined that in terms of still being able to study history, my major, going to Florence, Italy at the Lorenzo de' Medici Institute was the most interesting to me of the destinations I could have gone to. So a year has gone by since then, and that's now I'm in the middle of that program, and it did just start a couple of weeks ago, but it's been a great time so far, and just a great experience being able to still study within my major in another country. It definitely, especially for history, adds an additional layer to that. So I think that's another thing that you can think about when you choose to study abroad, what the specific country that you go to could add to your studies, because I wouldn't be able to study some of the things that I'm studying now back at Clemson. So it's been a really great experience so far, and I would highly recommend it.
That's great, and I'm so happy for you that you get this experience to enhance your learning abilities in a whole different country. And I hope Italy will be a great experience for you. But everyone, notice how he said he started preparations for his study abroad trip about a year in advance. I think it's very important if you do consider something like that to start as early as possible because you do have to make sure it goes along with your don't you have to have a certain amount of credits to graduate with your major and everything? You have to make sure that it co-inheres with everything. So make sure to talk with your college advisor.
Yes, at least Clemson requires a certain number of credits to be taken before graduation at Clemson. So there is a point, like most people here are sophomores or juniors. So it's important to consider how studying abroad plays into your overall academic plan once you're in college. And then also just getting the preparation started very early, of course. I think everybody in my program had to start applying officially by September, and kind of all my paperwork was done by October of this past year. So it is one of those things that you want to think about early and start working towards doing
And
early.
you guys tell me or tell the audience, does scholarships or financial aid also apply to the study abroad experiences to accumulate for some of the financial costs?
Yes, I can only speak for my experience at Clemson, but I believe anyone who's already on financial aid or whatever program, that all would apply to study abroad as well. For Clemson, at least, they charge 1/10 of in-state tuition to them for study abroad, and then at least in the program I'm doing, which is direct enrollment at a foreign school. There are several different kinds of study abroad programs, I should say, which are also worth researching. But speaking from my experience, it is just that fee to Clemson, and then the tuition at the school in Italy that I'm studying at, which actually is a lot less than the total I pay for out of state tuition otherwise at Clemson, which I think is just a testament to the fact that study abroad is not as expensive as it often sounds. And I think that you shouldn't let financial concerns stop you from studying abroad because of the financial aid resources that are available at schools like Clemson, and the fact that it's often not as expensive as it might sound in the first place. So I would say do your research well in advance, of course, but it's not something that you feel like you should not be able to do because you can't afford it, since there's financial aid and resources available.
Yes, definitely do your research. Don't think, oh, I'm not able to afford this. I don't think I could ever study abroad. Definitely talk to someone at your school and they'll maybe be able to help out. So never be afraid to ask, and you'll never know what you may be able to do. You just got to ask your counselors at your school. And to wrap up this meeting, Eli, do you have any last tips or remarks for our audience?
I did have one more thing I thought of on the study abroad thing. A statistic they were throwing around at the orientation sessions that I had to attend was that only 10% of students study abroad. That may just be for Clemson specifically, but it could be it could be nationally. So I would say that it's something that not a lot of people think about, and not a lot of people, I think, put themselves out of their comfort zone to do. And it's certainly not for everyone, but I think that it's an experience that maybe isn't even talked about enough, and should be, because it has the potential to be such a great experience. And then as for the college application process in general, which is probably what the audience is thinking a little bit more about right now, just once again, do your research, but also don't stress about it. If I could just keep it to one sentence about my advice, that's what it would be.
That was all great, Eli. So, out of our meeting today, the top things that I took into account is stay organized, do your research, and to not stress. And you seem like you used all those tips and you seem very successful now. I know you're going to do great things after your study abroad experience, during your study abroad experience, and even after you graduate Clemson. But for our viewers today, it's a stressful process, not just your senior year, but all throughout high school. Staying in, I know a lot of us are involved in many clubs and extracurriculars, and that takes up a lot of our time. But college, applying for college will come up as soon as you know it. So we have to be prepared, and it can get stressful once the time does come. But as long as we stay organized and ready for it, and have great mentors like Eli on the call with us today, we can all get through it. But thank you, Eli, so much today for talking to us about how we can get ready for our college journey. And I hope you have a great rest of your journey in Italy and throughout the rest of your time at Clemson.
Yes, thank you, Ayana, again, and best of luck with the rest of your journey as well.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining on our interview today. And I will see y'all next time.